Hey everyone, so last video I explained you about the CDN, and if I talk about all the topics gradually that we are unwrapping, we have seen the cache, we have seen the database, we have scaling the server, and this is where we started. So we have come pretty much far in this diagram in here, and we have proper understanding around this one, right? So if I revisit those things, so this is the client. First request going to the DNS, that is giving us the IP address of the server, that is the API gateway. It is further API gateway when it is going based on the functionality that client is requesting. It will go to the respective load balancer. Load balancer will look at the instances that are available in the backend. It will route that request in there. It will process that request, validate that one. It will hit the cache as applicable. If the data is available, it will be returned, otherwise it will be retrieved. Data will be retrieved from the respective databases that is available in the backend. That is how a response will travel back to the client in here. CDN also comes into picture for the static assets caching in here to have the improved user experience and less latency around this one. That sharding also comes into picture just to have a better latency when we have huge amount of data being stored in our databases. So that's the picture so far that we have in here. So communication, when we have these kind of functionalities in place, right, communication plays a very important role. So because there are so many functionalities, and for each and every functionality we have microservices, right? So whatever diagram I have seen, so that means it has n number of microservices for the buyer's functionality, n number of microservices are there for the builder's functionality, right? And load balancer is there to balance the load in there. So, and to complete that functionality, this service has to communicate with each other, right, to take care of the complete request. So we say there are two kind of communication that comes into picture: synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. Listen it carefully: synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. So let me draw a bit in here, so just to have this. S1 is a service 1, S2 it's service 2. So if service 1 is calling service 2, it is waiting for the response before doing anything. That is what we call the synchronous communication. This is what is sync communication, because it is waiting for that one. Another case is that I can just, let's say there is one more service, that is S3, right? S1 is calling this one, but it is not waiting for the response. It is just passed something request and just believed on S3 that S3 will process that request. I don't care at which point in time it is doing this one, but it will trust that it will process that request. So that what it is, the benefit, the processing time that S3 is going to take, it will save that time. So this is also the use case that I cannot have everything asynchronous, right? When we have transactions, money flowing into the system, I have to wait for the response before doing anything. But when we have functionalities like email functionality, I just have to pass on the log information, I just have to pass on the click events, analytics information. So I can pass this on. If some of that information, in rare cases it is lost, that is not impacting anything, but that will pretty much improve the user experience. If that data is getting lost or anything happening around that data, we will have mechanisms for that to take care, so that it's not negatively impacting. But the thing is that whether I have to wait for the response or not, based on that, this communication is categorized as sync and async. Synchronous communication is straightforward. Service knows the address of the caller service, it will call and wait for the response, right? But asynchronous communication is tricky, so it has to know the address of this one. And if we go straightforward, then number of services as increasing. So S1 knowing the address of each and every service is not a good idea, right? So that is where messaging queue comes into picture. All right, so I will just rotate this thing like this, so that will give it the picture, right, like message queue. Okay, so just consider it with this one. Okay, so not a very good diagram, but I hope you got the idea. So asynchronous communication happens like this. So if it has to pass some information, it will pass the information to this one. This message queue, we also say it message broker. There is a Kafka, very popular provider for these functionalities. So broker is also the name that is there, and this service is listening to this one. All right, so I will just dot this as well. So whatever services, if say S3 is there and there is one more service that is S4, it also interested in some of the messages that are coming in, so it will also listen to this one. All right, it will listen to this one, and whenever that message is available in that queue, it will process. Let's say this S3 is taking care of informing the user about the activity that is happening on its portal or account. Email functionality, message, S3 is going to take care. S4 is going to take care of storing the events that is happening around, like what operation is being performed, like logging, click events, these things, like for the analysis purpose. So it will pass that information, and S4 will listen it and store it somewhere in the database, or whatever pipeline is there for that functionality to complete, it will do that job, right? So the main benefit around the message queue that comes in, that ease of handling and the response time. It does not have to wait, it just has put that message in here and it has done the job, right? So all of that thing will be taken care. So the simplicity in the architecture, decoupling comes into place. So all of that, whatever I have drawn it, so I can say that if it wants to pass on anything, it can pass that to the message queue, right? And respective listener will do the job of like sending the email, doing the analysis or anything. So that is the only thing about the message queue that I wanted to explain, and this is where it comes very handy. And the benefit is that it gives a better user experience, better architecture for the debugging purposes in the backend side also. So apart from all these pictures that we have, so now we have one more entry with this diagram, that is the message queue. So keep this in mind also. So just revise it, and whatever places you are putting this in, if you do not understand it, make sure that you are watching the videos carefully. Have any question, put that in comment section. So after CDN also message queue, async processing we have seen. So security is the thing that will take care in the next video, like these topics I'll cover that. So till then, take care, bye bye.